So in the last problem, we have a study about the influence of media in lives of young people ages 8 to 18. 17% were classified as light media users, 62% were classified as moderate, and 21% were classified as heavy. Of the light media users who responded, 74% described their grades as good, while only 68% of moderate and 52% of heavy described their grades as good. So according to this study, what percent of young people aged 8 to 18 describe their grades as good? Use a tree diagram or chart to calculate their probability. So I'm going to go with a tree diagram. So we have our young people, which I'm just going to put YP. Okay. We're first splitting it into three categories. We have the light media users, the moderate media users, and then we have the heavy media users. Of those, we split into two trees as whether or not they had good grades or not good grades. Okay. So when we first label our probabilities, we have 0.17 that were light, 0.72 that were moderate, and 0.21 that were heavy. So remember, each branch off of the tree has to add to 100%. Okay. So next, we know that if you were a light media users, 74% described their grades as good, so 0.74, which means 0.26 didn't have good grades. And then of the moderate, 68% had good grades, which means 32% didn't. And then of the heavy users, 52% had good grades, which means 48% didn't. Okay. So to figure out what percent of students had good grades, so we have to find the ands. So I have to do 0.17 times 0.74, and we get 0.123. Then we do 0.17 times 0.26, and we get 0.044. 0.62 times 0.68 is 0.422. 0.62 times 0.32 is 0.198. 0.21 times 0.52 is 0.109. And then 0.21 times 0.48 is 0.101. So remember, when you multiply to get your ands, those percentages do not have to add up to 100. So we want the percent who describe their grades as good. So that's all of our percentages so that's light and good, moderate and good, and heavy and good. And then we're going to add those together. So 0.123 plus 0.422 plus 0.109. So we're going to get 0.654, which as if we convert to a percentage is 65.4%. Okay. So now we want to figure out, so we're going to use our tree diagram, what percent of students with good grades are heavy users of media. So that would be good grades and heavy users. So that's going to be the 0.109, which is 10.9%. Okay. Now we're going to use our tree diagram to figure out what percent of students with good grades are moderate users. So moderate and good grades is the 0.422, which is 42.2%. And now we want to know what percent of light users are students with bad grades. So we go to light and not good, so that would be light and bad, which is the 0.044, which is 4.4%. Okay. What percent of moderate users are students with bad grades? So moderate and not good. So that's 0.198, which is 19.8%. Okay. So tree diagrams are really nice, especially if the information you're given is based on percentages. If you're given information with totals, those are easier to put into tables. So let me know if you have any questions over this problem when I see you in class.